Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk, an Arsenal podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. You can follow us at clockand_talk. And I'm back after a couple of week break. For those of you who weren't aware or haven't, or just tuned in for the very first time, I had a few health problems back in September. I was trying to get my fucking head around what had actually gone on so I can actually tell you what happened now, because I know what happened. So before I introduce these two blokes that are with me each week, back in September I had an aortic dissection. So basically my aorta had ripped. On top of that I also had a stroke. So since I come out of hospital, September, October, I've had scans and tests and different things pretty much every single day of the week. The reason of that is because I've still got a tear in my descending aorta, so down the bottom, I've still got a tear there, and it was too damaging to operate on, so they're just going to medically manage it, which is just basically watch it, and I've got to get scans every couple of weeks or so. So that's just a little quick update on what's been happening and how come I haven't been on. In saying all that, I'm kind of going back to plan a little bit now, but it'll be a weekly podcast, the Clock and Talk. However, I can only record on Tuesday UK, Wednesday, so regardless of the games, it'll only be a weekly show, not 24 hours after the game like we usually have done for the last 2 years. It'll just be a weekly show. So if you can handle that, we can handle that, and happy days. So, Tony, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It's nice that all of our lives now revolve around you. That's helpful for everyone. But, yeah, I mean, obviously your health is your health and whatnot. But, yeah, I'm all good. Just living life.
Living life, yeah. Mate, look, I'm not going to say I'm the people's champion, but because there's already one of them cunts floating around the place. But look, I'm loved by all. Like the messages I get, mate, asking when the podcast is up, what's happened to Tez? Where's Tez? It's fucking blows my mind.
I mean, I don't think that you get a single message. Saying that, no, you've got 55 burner accounts. You probably get 55 messages.
I'm going to get onto these fucking accounts later, actually, because I had to scroll through your fucking Twitter. Okay, who else we got? Sam, how are you, buddy?
Not bad. Glad to be here, and I'm glad to have you guys with me.
Sounds good, mate. And all the way from, if you missed it, Sam's our real American. You know, like we had that fake American on for a few years, but this bloke's actually from America. Super Bowl, Sam, you get into that or what?
Yeah, I tuned in. I'm more of a soccer person than American football, but yeah, it was good. I was just glad the Patriots weren't in there again. So it's a good game, actually. So
yeah,
it's not bad.
I got no idea.
Just to let you know, you will be removed from the podcast if you continue to call it soccer.
I was going to make a mention of that.
You're going to ban me like Darren. 3-match ban.
Don't blame me.
You watch the NFL, Tony? The Super Bowl?
I watched until just after half time, and it was like 2:15 a.m. So I thought, oh, fuck this, I'll sack it off. And then apparently the third and fourth quarters were like fucking magical, and there was touchdowns every 2 seconds. Like the first half was good, but then yeah, the third quarter started off a little bit slow, and I was getting tired, and I just thought, I'll sack this off.
Yeah, I watched absolutely zero of it. Somebody mentioned something about Kansas, and I was like, oh, who the fuck, what, where? Some Chiefs, and yeah, I knew this. Is it the 69ers or whatever? What are they called?
49ers.
49ers, okay, because obviously because of Jared Haynes, so yeah. So the 69ers, that's who I was going for. Okay, let's get into this. We haven't discussed transfer news because we've all been slack. What's up?
Cough, mate.
Righto. We haven't discussed any transfer news because, like I said, we've all been very slack. Tony, you want to do us a recap of the transfer window, your thoughts, players coming in, no players leaving, so what was your thoughts on the whole thing, mate?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know next to nothing about the centre-back we signed from Brazil. Obviously, I know his history. He was at City, loaned out a few times, and then he's gone and done really well in Brazil. I can't lie and say I've seen him 100 times and he's the world's best centre-back and whatnot. I don't know anything about him, but if it's someone Arteta wanted, we've got to stick by that. We've looked quite solid at the back anyway, and obviously he's a left-footed centre-back, and we've seen at times, especially from goal kicks, Xhaka basically dropping into centre-back to give us that balance of having a left footer and a right footer. So if the guy is competent enough defensively and can play out from the back using his left foot, I guess it's the type of thing that Arteta wanted. In terms of Cedric Suarez, I mean, literally since day one of this podcast, the two players I said I think Arsenal should sign were Adama Traore, who is arguably the best winger in the league at the moment, and Cedric Suarez. I don't think Cedric will come straight into the first team, but you've got to remember when I said this, we only had Bellerin. Ainsley hadn't played at right back yet, so we literally had no other option. I think we had Jenko and Lichtsteiner. And I always said you'd get him, Suarez, for pretty cheap, and he's just solid. Like, look, he's not going to be our best player, and he probably won't be a starter, or he almost certainly won't be a starter. But he's always been good enough. He's reliable. He can do a job, and I think, in a way, I think it's a good sign. In another way, I kind of think I would probably have just settled for Hector and Ainsley there, because I think Ainsley's very good there, and I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism from fans at times. But if you want two solid actual right backs, I see no issue in having Hector and Cedric as our two options. And I said, you get a lot of people that would have said he was shit like forever, and then because we've signed him, they're going to pretend he's the world's best player. We see it all the time. But anyone can go back and listen. And I've genuinely, for 2 years, said that we could do a lot worse than get him as a backup option.
So on loan, $5 million apparently is rumoured what it will cost us. He's hoping to get a contract with us in the summer because he's out of contract with Southampton.
I'll be fucking amazed. Like, look, legally, he's not allowed to agree a contract with a team in England. He can only agree a contract with a team abroad.
Yep.
I don't think there's a chance on earth that contract hasn't already been agreed.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're not going to pay the $5 million for the wages and the bonuses and whatnot.
Yep.
And then just get rid of him at the end of the season. Like, it's just, it would be pointless.
Sam, your thoughts on our window, mate?
I think considering it's the January window, I think we didn't have the highest hopes of, doing a lot of business just because we don't have the most money. Although I think we did need to bring in a center back option. Not so sure about the right back, like Tony said. I think Ainsley and Bellerin pretty much have that covered, and Chambers can fill in later on next year if we need it, and then Socrates can even fill in there, I guess. But Ainsley and Bellerin can kind of do that job, so it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if he has other plans for Ainsley, maybe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, it kind of confused me. I'm not sure what Ainsley's job is now. But that's for the right back. But for the center back, I am looking forward to I guess Murray.
Yeah.
I think he's a big guy, and I think that's somewhere we kind of struggle with is anything in the air, like at Burnley. If he's good in the air, I mean, it would have been great to have him in the box for that game. But I've heard a lot of good things about him. But I mean, honestly, I've never seen him play. But I'm hopeful.
Tony, Sam does bring up an interesting point there that I was going to touch on. What does this all mean now for Maitland-Niles?
I remember saying this last year that I think we struggle for. I don't know if energy is the right word because Guendouzi runs around a lot, but I think we struggle for intensity in midfield when Torreira's not there. And I'm not saying Ainsley can do the same job, but he does cover a lot of ground. He is quick. I'm trying to make up a reason for where I can see him. I can't believe that after the way he'd played at right back, Arteta's just thought, oh, we're completely going to bin this guy off and have a right back. So that leads me to assume he does see a role for him in midfield. So I'm sort of trying to make one up, and that's the only one I can see. Maybe as more, if we play a free, someone he could play with Xhaka and Torreira, and someone who has the energy to be a box-to-box midfielder, and if he can add goals to his game somehow, then you kind of cover a problem there. I don't know, but I really don't think it's a case of just sort of like sacking Maitland-Niles off, because he was really good pretty much in every game under Arteta. So it just leads me to believe he has plans for him in midfield.
Okay, and one other one that came in, was recalled back from loan, was Eddie. What do you think the thoughts were around that one, Tom?
Oh, I think obviously we're now into the next round of the FA Cup. I mean, the day he came back, we was in the third round of the FA Cup. We've still got Europe, and Arteta seems to want to play Aubameyang and Lacazette together, or both in the same team, as in Aubameyang out wide and Lacazette through the middle. And they're your only two strikers, so I guess he just needed another body, another option for the Europa League and the Cup games. And we saw it against Bournemouth away in the Cup. Eddie started, obviously Aubameyang was suspended, but Lacazette didn't play, and Eddie plays on his own. I think it is just an option. And then, again, if you are going to start them both together, as he did on whatever day it was, Sunday at Burnley, if we don't have Eddie there, there's no attacking sub. So, I mean, for me, he used him too late anyway. I'm sure we'll get onto that. But I think he's just there as another option, because otherwise, if you play Lacazette and Aubameyang on the pitch at the same time, there's just no option of change.
Summing up the window, what do you give it? A, B, C or D?
It's very difficult, because January windows are January windows. Nothing really happens. If you look around the league, no one's really done anything great. No, I'm not going to pretend that it's not an A. I'm not going to pretend I'm running around excited about it. I think we filled one position we needed to, but I don't know if the guy's good enough. And then we also got a position I don't really think we need to fill, but I think the guy is good enough to be the squad player. So I'd probably say, I don't know, a C. Like, nothing spectacular, but also nothing that I'm going to go home crying about. I'm not going to say it's a bad window.
Yep. What about you, Sam? Summing up the window?
Yeah, I agree. I give it a B. I think just getting Eddie back is a huge gain for us. I mean, he did good in the Bournemouth game. For that FA Cup game, I think he just finds a way to get goals. And I know that's something we're struggling with. And I think as a backup option in the investment we can make in him this window with Arteta versus him going out somewhere, I think that could be huge for him. So I'll give it a B.
Yeah, I'm in between a B and a C as well. But I'm happy Eddie came back from loan. I think he had a pretty good spell over there at Leeds. Now, the reason I like Eddie back is, and we'll get onto it a bit later, no doubt, is how poor Lacazette has been. So having somebody maybe push Lacazette a little bit more. I'm hopeful Lacazette might find a goal. I was reading a stat the other day, Tony, and once again, I don't know how true this shit is, because you see it on Twitter or social media. Lacazette's now gone 358 days since scoring. That was against Huddersfield. Does that sound right to you?
In an away game, yeah. In an away league game, yeah. That's right.
Oh, fucking Jesus, okay.
There's so many. Look, when anything's going good or bad, some crazy stats come out. Since Lacazette's been at the club, he's only scored one league goal in a game that we've won to a team that hasn't ended up getting relegated. Last season, I think all of these away goals were teams that got relegated. Like, there's so many. Again, the stats always come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he scored at Huddersfield early February last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, like I said, it was floating around, as you say, stats come out, and when I read that the other day, I went, holy fuck. We'd all been saying how poor he was, and even that I hadn't been on the hospital, the only bloke who was defending Lacazette was Darren. Shout out to Daz. But So I've heard how poor he has been, obviously, but I just didn't realise it was to that extent. Like, he's your striker, and he has not scored a goal in, well, it's more than 358 now, because that was a couple of days ago. But yeah, if you're going on games, it's quite a few games. Let's get into this Burnley cunts, fucked up cunt of a team. I knew it'd be a struggle. Tony, look, it's not going to be a great match to talk about. I don't even know how I'm going to come up with 3-2-1. But let's start with a lineup, because that type of did shock me a little bit. But anyway, I'll get your thoughts before I go into what I thought.
A bit of a surprise at Mustafi. Obviously, Socrates was on the bench, so you've got to assume he was fit. And Mustafi went off injured against Bournemouth, and so they said he was fit, but you never know if it was 100%, if he'd trained fully all week. So I was a bit shocked at him. Just Torreira not being on the pitch made no sense. Guendouzi was... Look, I'm not a Guendouzi fan, everyone knows that, but he was very good against Bournemouth in the Cup. So maybe that's won him his position in that game. But for me, especially against a team like Burnley, I would have Torreira over him. Then up front, I said, I mean, we've been saying it for weeks. I wouldn't have had Lacazette in the team. It was a weird selection, because it meant moving Gabby over to the right where he can't really playing Aubameyang on the left where he can play, but it's not really where you want him. You have to do 2 or 3 things that are awkward for your team just to play Lacazette, and that's fine if he's scoring every week or holding the ball up expertly and bringing others into play, but at the moment and for the last few months, he's not been doing any of that. So it seems weird to disrupt 2 or 3 other positions just to get him in the team. I mean, for me, it would have been Martinelli left, Aubameyang through the middle, and Pepe on the right. I get the argument that Aubameyang doesn't really hold much up, but there's 2 things. Against Burnley, Lacazette ain't going to do that anyway, because Ben-Mee and Tarkowski will just go through him. And secondly, Lacazette hasn't been doing that against anyone for a long time now. So at least with Lacazette, you're not getting goals, and his hold-up play has been poor. With Aubameyang, his hold-up play is almost certainly going to be poor, but he runs in behind, which Lacazette can't do. And in general, and I know we're going to come on to chances he missed, in general, you give him a chance, he scores. So I agree that Lacazette is a better hold-up man than Aubameyang, but in recent weeks, he's been subpar at it. So what's the point having someone who's shit at it? Because you end up losing the ball more because you try and give it to him to hold up, because it's meant to be strength, and you lose it. Whereas if you know Aubameyang can't do that, you just kick it into the channels or kick it in behind. You don't ask him to hold the ball up because you know it ain't going to work. For me, it was a really, really weird selection. I kind of get why he might not want to start Pepe against a team like Burnley. But as I said, it's just disrupted 2 or 3 positions just sort of so Lacazette can start.
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail on the head. Sam, your take on the lineup when you're saying that, mate?
I mean, I think Tony summed it up pretty well right there. But I mean, I'm just so frustrated. We just need to play to our strengths, and our strengths, this season in our current form, and that's Martinelli, Saka, Aubameyang. I just don't understand moving people around to accommodate someone who, frankly, just isn't getting the job done. Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty cool. I was fucking shaking my head, like, it just blew my mind. Like, Mustafi, I like Martinelli as well, but Pepe, Martinelli, like, I would have rather Lacazette maybe take a bench. He's been out of form, so I would have put Aubameyang where Lacazette was. Martinelli, for me, has to be in the team, and he's playing a hell of a lot better than Lacazette. So I would have, obviously, probably Martinelli coming in on the left, Aubameyang up top, and Pepe on the right. Like, I don't understand what this obsession with Lacazette is. I don't know. He's out of form. Like, do you? And we'll get onto it now, Tony. The chances he missed during the game. Like the stats that I talked about before, the stats that you mentioned, is it time we actually bench Lacazette, or do we play him in these other tournaments, Europa League groups matches and things like that, to hopefully, for fuck's sake, he gets into a bit of form?
How long do you persist in playing someone and hoping that they turn good? He's not. I mean, I can't even remember. I think he's off the top of my head, and I might be wrong. His last league goal, I think, was against Brighton. And that was a flick on from it. It wasn't a shot. It was a flick on from a corner, and it ended up going in. He didn't mean it to go in. But look, they all count. So there's been at least 12 games since then where he's not scored. He's not really played well in any of them. He's played against Leeds in the Cup at home, which is what you would class as one of the lesser games. I don't. I understand the principle of keep playing someone and they'll get a goal and they'll play themselves into form. But for how long can you damage yourself in the hope that it turns good? Okay, 1 or 2 games and you think, okay, keep persisting with him, especially if he's playing okay, just not scoring. But then when he's not playing well and he's not doing anything, and you're 10 games into this run or however many games it is, I don't know where the line. I mean, look, for me, the line would have been cut a few weeks ago. But then obviously Aubameyang got suspended, so he kind of had to play. Didn't really do much in either of them games that Aubameyang's not played. I don't know where. For me, it has to be dropped. I can't see any reasoning. And look, the issue we have with Arsenal fans is Lacazette has a lot of fanboys, and people will tell you he's world class over and over and ignore every level of performance he's ever put in. But I just can't. Do you know when people try and defend someone and you might not agree, but you can go, okay, I see where you're coming from. I disagree with you, but I get your point. With Lacazette, I don't get it. When people try and defend him, I just think they're trying to defend the indefensible.
Look, we've said it before on here. It was at a time when we signed Lacazette that we were in desperate need of a striker. We had Giroud there, and that was it. Lacazette was meant to be this 30-game goal scorer, or a 30-season goal scorer, and he was the next best thing. I think people, and no offence to anyone, but I think people are just holding on to that hope that is the case, and I'm sorry, he's just not that player. He just absolutely is not that player. Which, obviously the French league, nothing against that league, but fuck me, it must be a very weak league because he has not performed in the Premier League since he's come here, I don't think. Sam, I'm really struggling, mate, to get on this game because absolutely fuck all went on here. I'll talk about a couple of yellow cards. There was Ozil, he got a yellow. Granit got a yellow. Torreira got a yellow in the 57th minute. Obviously we were struggling to score a goal, and then a couple of substitutions, which I thought was a little bit piss poor substitution. Especially Eddie coming on in the 89th minute. I thought that's probably one that probably should have happened earlier. Your thoughts on that all up, mate?
Yeah, I think Ozil's card was a little unlucky. I think he was just, playing the ball, and, the guy just kind of threw his head at it, and he got a foul, and he kind of mouthed off a little bit to the ref, just saying, I'm playing the ball, and he got a card. And I thought that was kind of bullshit. But, I mean, the other two, I mean, they were what they were fouls, and but I think it all just, after the first 20 minutes, it just seemed like we couldn't do anything. They just kind of upped the tempo and started playing us hard and started, fouling us and beating us up a bit. And we just back off completely. I know Tony mentioned this in the chat after the game, but our front line was just static. No one wanted to come to the ball. Ozil started drifting off to the right. And it's just, we were just stuck. We couldn't do anything. And then they just kept beating us. They just beat us down and got the ball, and then we were on our heels.
It's gonna be fucked. This is fucking Burnley, though. This isn't Chelsea or fucking Man United. This is fucking Burnley, for fuck's sake. But Tony, the other one that shocked. Look, and you might disagree, but Ozil went off. Willett come on. I was kind of calling for Ceballos. I don't know what's happened there, but we spoke about managers and upsetting players, and Emery wasn't a big fan of Ozil, and that little blue went on, and now I'm hearing about Ceballos and Arteta. What do you make of all that?
I don't think there's an issue there. To be honest, I know a lot of people disagree with me. I wouldn't have brought Ceballos on purely because he's not a 10. He likes to, and I've said this about players before, Ceballos loves to touch the ball, and when you need someone to try and provide the ammunition, He's not that guy. He's going to come deeper and he'll give you control of the ball, but he's not going to be in that 10 position, which is kind of what we needed. Also, you've got to remember that Saka was off by that point and Granit was playing at left back. Ceballos is very good at finding passes inside fullbacks inside their fullback and centre back and finding overlapping runs. We had no one that was doing that because Granit's obviously not a left back and he's also not quick, so he's never going to be bombing down the outside. And then even if he does go, he's not going to get back, so you have to keep the ball. You can't play risky balls. So Ceballos for me wouldn't have been the right option. So, to be honest, I disagree with a lot of people anyway, because I know I've seen some of the stuff I've seen against Ozil. I'm not saying he was good. I don't think he was anywhere near good. I thought he was okay. Like, people were absolute trash performance, worst performance I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. For me, it was just a sort of standard, 5, 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, probably 5 or 6 players on the same level as him. I see that Willock brings energy, and I can understand why the sub was made. The issue is with Willock, when there's a key pass to be made, that one pass where you can slide someone in and it's vitally important, he's probably not, you wouldn't put your money on him making that pass. I thought he'd done well when he came on, but it's just knowing what he will and won't give you. I don't know if I'd have taken Ozil off, but if I did, I would have probably done Willock as well. I wouldn't have done Ceballos just because of the way the game was. In another game situation, I would have rang Ceballos on, and I thought he'd done well at Bournemouth, when he came on. Just with the way things were going, I don't think it would have been possible to, or I don't think it would have been wise to bring Ceballos on.
Yep. No, fair call. Okay, let's look. I really don't want. There was a 0-0 draw for those who haven't seen the match, but you've probably listened to other podcasts and different things by now. Because we are now fucking late to the podcast shows, but Sam, let's do a 3-2-1, mate. And I'm just going to say, just go a 3-2-1. I don't want to drag this out. Just go your 3, your 2, your fucking 1.
All 3. Okay.
All 3, 1 hit.
So, wait. Am I doing all 3?
Yeah, all 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Okay, so for my 3, man, it's really tough this week. I
think 3's easy. I don't know on the other 2. I think 3's a piece of piss.
I'm gonna go with Aubameyang for 3, and the only reason why is because even though he fucked up his chances, he was at least creating them, and and he was not only creating them, in the attacking sense of receiving the ball and getting himself set up for the shot, but he also created a lot with his passing. I think any chance we had almost came from his pass or from his run. So I'll just go with Aubameyang for my 3. I think if he wasn't out for 3 games, I think he would have put one away too. But anyway, okay. My 2, I'm going to go with Saka just because I thought he did great until he did have to come off. I haven't actually heard anything about that. I don't know if you guys have, but I'm glad we have this winter break now because we really need it. And then for my 1, I'm actually going to go with Mustafi, and the reason why is because we all give him hell every week. He does terrible, and he was solid all day, and he's actually probably one of our best players with dealing with aerial threats. So I'll give him a 1 just because we give him shit every week. So I thought he actually did good. So there you go.
Tony, 3, 2, 1.
3's Mustafi because he was the best player on the pitch by an absolute mile. Like, not even close. Oh my God, sorry. I'm watching Newcastle game. Maximan's just scored a joke of a goal. So Mustafi was the best player on the pitch by an absolute distance. I can't even see anyone else competing with him for it. 2, Leno, his kicking and distribution frustrated the hell out of me. I thought he was so slow to release the ball. But he made a few key saves. They were piling pressure from him from corners. They had everyone around him, and he wasn't sort of flapping and getting in his usual mess. Done, as I said, apart from his kicking and the speed at which he moved the ball, he'd done what you'd expect of a keeper, or what you'd have expected of a keeper 2 years ago. 1, Fuck it, Lacazette's world class, so let's give him one. I mean, he's not, and he was the worst player on the pitch, but why not?
I wish I went before you now, because my 3 and 2 were Mustafi and Leno, but I've gone 1 to Granite, just because.
Granite probably was, but when there's so many even, I'm just going to pander to the rest of the world that tells me Lacazette's world class and I don't understand football.
Okay, so that's our 3-2. What do you go? Saka and Aubameyang. Okay, interesting. There's no wrongs or righties then. Just your wrong, mate. That's all. No. Okay. What do we do now? Fuck. Oh, questions. That's right. You don't want to talk anything else on that game, Tony? You're all good.
Lacazette's world class. What more do we need to say?
It's just like I don't want to. I just didn't want to go. We've gone 30 minutes, but it was just a shit game on, and I know we've got lots of fucking questions as well. So, Arsenal and 180s. Okay, that's a new one. If Arteta has taken this job and told them he doesn't need players, he can work with what he's got. Can he be held responsible for the underwhelming window? Emery can, Carrasco, plenty of decent players went to other clubs on loan, Tony.
Well, I mean, Carrasco went from one owner to the other, so that's not a transfer. And
I missed that. Where did he go?
Back to Atletico.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't count. It's just it's at worst tax evasion. At best, he's gone from one parent's house to the other for the weekend. That doesn't count as a deal. Emre Can, it's the money. I'm not going to put anything on Arteta because I always say the coaches don't do the transfers anyway. And even if he did, would they have given him, what was it, 30 million Emre Can went for? Would they have given him that to spend in the window? Probably not. Did he want a midfielder anyway? Probably not. So no, I'm not going to put any blame on him. And I don't think in the positions we signed, I don't think anyone better went anywhere apart from, unless they went for stupid money. I mean, I can't think of anyone, but there probably was a big deal that happened that I just can't think of. But it's not like there was 50 centre-back deals and we've got one for whatever we've got him for and everyone else has got a better centre-back. I'm talking about Marie, and obviously in Cedric basically getting a player essentially for free who's going to be a backup right back. Again, it's not like there was loads of them about and we picked the worst one. It's just the deals just don't happen.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, mate. Yeah. I was just thinking of what other deals there was. There was only that Bruno, that Man U, but they paid 30-something mil, didn't they?
More than that. I think it rises to about 60.
Yeah, but loans, I just can't think of any that comes off the top of the head either. Ericsson went pretty cheap, didn't he? 18, I think it was. I was surprised I got that much from him, to be fair. Really?
There's 6 months left.
Oh, okay, yeah, true. Yeah, right. Sam, did you see the Sterling yellow card? Should Aubameyang be a little pissed, says Romy. I didn't see it, so.
Actually, I have not seen that, so I cannot comment on that.
Did you see it, Tony?
Yeah, look, I said at the time I don't think Aubameyang's was a red, and most people disagreed with me, which is then fair enough. But I can't now say that's a wrong decision to not send Sterling off when I didn't think Aubameyang should have been sent off. For me, look, I said it at the time, it's not high. It's at the height where if the ball's there, he gets the ball. It's not malicious. He's not gone to injure anyone. He's not ran from 40 yards and lunged in. He stayed on his feet. Yes, he's slightly overstretching, but that's in an attempt to get the ball. And I'm saying this, and I could be talking about either of Sterling or Aubameyang. So for me, I don't think either was a red card.
Okay. Do Arsenal have the players to make a balanced midfield? What would be your ideal midfield with the players we have, says Romy. You can shoot at that one, Sam.
Oh, man. I think with the players we have right now, if I had to choose a midfield and we were doing, if we were sticking with the 10 and then the 2 behind, I think it's Xhaka, Torreira in behind, and then I think it's Ozil ahead of him. I think everyone's giving Ozil a lot of stick. I think he's definitely not the player he was. I think we can all agree with that. But I think he definitely works hard. And, I mean, I don't know who else we play there. I mean, do we want to start Willick every week? Do we want Ceballos? Last time he came on, he looked so much slower than he did at the beginning of the season. I don't think he's really fit enough yet, which Arteta even mentioned. I feel like that's just kind of what we have to work with right now, and I think that's who I would go with, those three.
We said it last season, and I didn't realise how much we would actually miss Ramsey, but holy fuck, haven't we missed him this season? And how do you find a replacement? I don't know if there's another Ramsey out there. But yeah,
if I could jump in there, I mean, Ramsey is my favorite player, and holy shit, I feel like he should have been our player of the season last season, but I think he didn't get it because he was leaving. Anytime he played last season, I felt like he bailed out a lot of our games under Emery. I don't know. I don't think you can replace him, to be honest.
No, he's going to be. That's what for me we're missing heaps, and Lacazette dropping back so fucking deep and being so poor too, is obviously another thing. I'm not so critical on Ozil this season as I probably was last year, because when you see shit and you can't shine up shit, can you? So. I'll pull out of that because Schwinn will be into me. Tony Lewis says, why are we so constantly poor on the counter-attack? Not just this game, it's been happening for years, basically.
Speaking of this game specifically, because it annoyed me a lot more than it usually does, I just thought Leno was holding on to the ball for too long. And then also, if we're going further back on different games, like into the past, under Emery, it was like you must play the ball out from the back. So the keeper plays it to the centre-back, who plays it to the other centre-back. And it didn't matter sometimes if a break was on, they would still hold the ball, wait for the other team to get in shape, and then roll it to the centre-back and go on. So you're never going to be able to hit on quick breaks when you're playing such a methodical system that involves basically everyone touching the ball. Also, pre-Aubameyang, we didn't really have anyone to hit them on the break. So you'd be playing it up to Giroud, who wasn't really going to run in behind. Even Alexis, at his best, never really ran in behind. He came short and got the ball and tried to beat his man. We haven't probably had an attacking player, I'm not going to say striker, but an attacking player that suited the counter-attack since probably Theo, because all he wanted to do was run in behind. And the criticism of him was always, you can't play to his feet. But now we're not playing any counter-attacking football. You can kind of think, well, we missed the guy that runs in behind. I think in time, Pepe could be that guy. The issue with him is he's so tricky on the ball that he wants it to feet all the time. I think we need to, with him, find a balance of, yes, you can come short sometime because you do have the ability to do that and go and beat men. That's fine, but there's got to be sometimes you just go in behind without the ball, and you won't always get it, but their defender's going to chase you, which leaves space for everyone else. And then if you do that, then the next time you go short, they'll be so scared of you going in behind, it will give you more time. I think we need to find the balance with Pepe, but apart from that, we don't really have players that run in behind. Even Aubameyang, as quick as he is, it's very few times where you see him running in behind in the middle of the goal. You think of, they keep showing it because it was 2 years to the day the other day, where his first goal against Everton, where he ran in behind and didn't get over Pickford. I can't really remember too many one-on-ones he scored barring that. I remember Bournemouth at home, I think he went round the keeper. Palace away a couple of weeks ago, you can argue that he ran through the middle, even though they were deep, he still found that space in behind. But in general, he doesn't really make that run. He hangs out at the back post. So I just don't really think we have the players to play on the break.
I said I'll talk about a couple of these accounts later. So we've got a new one that's popped up, Gooner Goose. I don't know where these cunts pop up from, right? But this bloke, I checked him out only because I was tagged in to the thread this week, and I was like, Notifications, and I checked out Gooner Goose, the unofficial mascot for the Gooners around the world. And he has fucking 1,000 fucking followers. Like, fuck me, where do these cunts come in from? Like, I'm sorry, Sam, but it's someone from America, mate. It has to be. But Gooner Goose, I think he's just taking the piss too. I don't actually think he's a gooner, because he said Arteta out yet. Crying, what is it? No, happy emoji, smiling emoji, what is that? Laughing emoji, that one. And then he's also said, how's Lacazette working out for you? Laughing emoji again. Fuck, mate. But look, I'm going to turn that into a bit of a question, Tony. Arteta, did he get, like, and I know we're putting a lot of blame on a few of the players, Lacazette in particular, but did he get what's the word for it? Tactically outplayed against Burnley? Arteta's tactics on the weekend.
I think he got it wrong. I wouldn't say he was outplayed. I just think he got it wrong. Like, look, Burnley are going to do what Burnley are going to do. Look, the thing is, we're going on about how bad
you just said that. You just said Burnley are going to do what they're going to do. Why couldn't Arteta say that?
But how odd is it to stop a team that smashes it long to Chris Wood from every time they've got the ball? Like, you can't do too much about it. And we're all going on about how bad we were, and how we tactically got it wrong. But let's be honest, the game was pretty even. Like, maybe they were slight. It wasn't like Burnley battered us and we stumbled to a 0-0. They had chances. We had chances. They had the ball in better areas, but of course they did. Every time they kick it, they get the ball, they kick it into the best area. If you're smashing the ball into the area all the time, then naturally you're going to have the ball in better areas. So I think he got it wrong, and still wasn't. I wouldn't say tactically outdone, but what can you do?
No. Okay.
You can't mark their keeper from goal kicks, and then he's going to smash it 80 yards. Like, I've not looked at stats, but the amount of times So I used to play under a manager called Bobby Gould. And his thing was final third entries. That's all he cared about. Every player on the pitch would have a number. He'd go into the locker room before the game and he'd say 20. And that was how many times you had to kick the ball into the final third. He didn't give a fuck if it went to anyone. It was a bit better than that. This guy's won the FA Cup, but it was a bit better than that. But that's essentially what Burnley do. And I'm not one of these, like, you get people say they're anti-football and they're boring to watch. I find it quite entertaining because there's always a fight on. Like, every ball, there's a battle, it's tough tackles going in. But you can't stop them doing that.
No, it's very hard to stop. You can defend against it, which we did well, and that's why Mustafi got my 3, because he was part of that. But, and you see if we play Pepe, as we've said many times, we play down the right, we cross it in, Aubameyang's there, and whether it be Bellerin running down the right, that's where we aim our attack. I didn't see, and I'm not blaming Martinelli, I'm not blaming Aubameyang because our attack was not really going down the right left, but I really have to point the finger at Lacazette because he drops back so deep, chasing the ball back. The problem is we can't get our attack going down the right and left with Martinelli, Bellerin, and Aubameyang. I would have hooked Lacazette well and truly first half. He would have been hooked for me because that whole attack for me just didn't work. And nothing against Guendouzi, and I know there's Guendouzi lovers out there, and look, he didn't have a bad game, but the kid does run around like a fucking headless chook. So you've got one bloke running around like a headless chook, you've got your fucking main striker dropping so far deep to look for the ball, and you've got Martinelli up on the right, you've got Aubameyang up on the left, and how the fuck does one score a goal? So that's type of where I do blame Arteta a little bit. Nothing against Arteta, but I just think, look, and you say he did get it wrong, absolutely did get it wrong. I think he got it wrong by not hooking Lacazette well and truly early.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was going to go on to say. I don't think he was tactically outdone. He made mistakes. I said that was the first thing I said. And for me, one of them was not hooking Lacazette, not bringing Pepe on, not necessarily for each other. But when people go, he was tactically outdone, he's been done by Sean Dyche there. He's not. Sean Dyche, as I said, Burnley have done Burnley.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I was just playing devil's advocate, you know that. I've got to make something out of old Gooner Goose, you fucking goose. Fuck off, you clown. Okay, Halls of Marble, regular contribution here. Question: We need a rangy box to box. A rangy? Rangy, yeah, okay. Rangy box to box midfielder like Henderson or Fabinho at Liverpool, or even Dombele at Spurs. Who would you get in the summer? Also, he says, will Aubameyang leave in the summer? Ideally, should the club be asking him to leave or stay and sounding out replacements now? I'm just going to answer it very quick. I'll let you answer the first part, Sam. Go on then. Who do you think, a box-to-box midfielder? Well, we touched on Ramsey really quickly, but...
Yeah, let's bring him back.
I don't think
that'd be great.
It wouldn't be that easy.
Ideally, that'd be great. I bet he'd love to work under Arteta, though. I mean, honestly, I think they had a pretty good relationship at the club, but I don't think that'll happen. As far as who to bring in, I'm really not even completely sure. I know a lot of people are saying, Partey, but I don't know. Tony, do you have anyone for that?
It's a very difficult one, because while I agree we need, as I said, a rangy box-to-box, he's probably used the words correctly, I also think we need someone that scores goals, like someone that does that scores goals. We basically need Ramsey, as we've touched on a million times. Even with the players he's listed, look, for me, Fabinho is excellent, but he's a defensive midfielder. He wouldn't do, for me, if he came, he'd be an upgrade on Torreira, not a rangy box-to-box. Henderson's having an unreal season, but again, in general, doesn't get the goals and get into the box like we would need. I don't like the guy, but I'd imagine a lot of people would answer this question saying Decore. I wouldn't do it. I don't rate him. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league, but I know that's who a lot of people would say. Having said that's not my answer. Who is my answer is, I don't know. I wouldn't be Partey again. I think he's too defensive. I'm trying to think. I'm waffling in because I'm trying to think, but I actually don't know.
Look,
the problem is with Ramsey is that the best, it's literally called the Aaron Ramsey role. The best person that play in the Aaron Ramsey role, shock horror, is Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm going to throw a couple of names at you because I was looking this morning and they're already talking about summer signings for Arsenal. I don't know this bloke, and I apologise if I'm going to butcher his fucking name. Orkun Koku. I don't know how you even say it. Orkun Kokcu. He's one apparently we've been linked to very early, and obviously Jack Grealish as well, Tony, who we've said we do like. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know who the first guy you're talking about is. Grealish, yeah, I mean, look, I love Jack Grealish. And in a I think he could do the job in a slightly different way. He's not pacey, but he travels really well with the ball. He's probably not going to cover every blade of grass like Ramsey would or Decore would. As I said, they've got that long-legged stride. But Grealish can drag you up the pitch with the ball. He can find the pass. I'd probably say he's more of a 10 than what we're talking about in this box-to-box role. But I would take Grealish and slightly adapt the role. Look, I'd say I'd take Grealish if he's available. I mean, for me, the guy's phenomenal, and I'd be surprised if everyone isn't trying to sign him. There's very few teams that don't need someone the level of Jack Grealish. But
he's good.
He would be... I'd go as far as saying if we could have one realistic signing in the summer, because I believe he's gettable, he'd be up there with my first choices.
Yeah,
so, look, it's easy
agree.
to say Messi or Ronaldo, but they're not realistic. Yeah. In terms of you could have any realistic signing, I think he's in my top three without thinking of a top three.
Yeah. I don't always like to agree with you, but I think I said to you last season when Villa came up, I said I'm actually excited to have a look at a bit more of Jack Grealish. So So I've always been a big fan of him, so yeah, I'd like Arsenal to go in for him. Meaning, though, I would, and it's not because he's been in such poor form, but I really think Lacazette needs to be sold in the summer, and that's Halls and Marble's next half of his question. Will Aubameyang leave in the summer? Ideally, should the club be asking him to stay or leave and sounding out replacements? Now, for me, I think they've really got to try and nail down this contract with Aubameyang. I know they've got that rule with the 18 months or something left on your contract, and we will put you on the market and whatnot. I really think they just need to give him a little bit more time, maybe to the end of the season, and say, look, mate, we needed a contract signed. I think Lacazette needs to go regardless if Aubameyang stays or goes. I just don't. If you haven't got Aubameyang there, what's the point in having Lacazette there? And if Aubameyang's there, what's the point in Lacazette there? So people are going to go, oh, you're fucking mad. You've got to keep one of them. Like, absolutely, I want to keep Aubameyang. I just don't think I want Lacazette anywhere near this fucking team. Get rid of him. He should have gone in January. You boys may disagree. I don't know. But what's the point now? Might as well have me playing. Hey?
I think they both go in the summer.
You think they both go?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't... Aubameyang's going to want the last big payday. Are Arsenal really going to give Ozil-like wages again after how they've been stung before? I don't think so, especially for someone who is, what is he going to be, 31, 32? I think he could carry on, but I just don't. I think business-wise it's probably something Arsenal won't do. And then you look at Lacazette, who will also have a year left, and I just look at him and think, why would you give him a new contract?
Yeah. I looked at what he's...
And again, he'll want increased wages. Yeah. So there's no way, even... Look, I disagreed with pretty much everyone that said he should have been Player of the Year last year. I don't think he should have. He got it, fair enough. But even then, I wouldn't have advocated an increase in wages. So now, sort of, what are we, 8 months on, and he's basically stunk the place out for 8 months. How can you say that he deserves a new deal with better wages? For me, I think they're both... Look, I'd like to keep Aubameyang. I don't think it'll happen. I think they're both gone in the summer.
Okay. I had a look, and I know we've talked about the transfermarket.com or whatever it is. I think a Lacazette, he's dropped down to like about 15 mil now. That's like, what do we pay? 40? We'd be lucky. We'd be lucky to get 20 for Lacazette. Halls of Marble says, and I'd rather the EL than the FA Cup. Call me spoiled, but I've seen us win it many times before. We've got way too few European trophies for a club of our size. And then he says, surely Ozil is done at Arsenal. What does he really offer us? A big call, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, on the competitions, I agree. I'd rather have the Europa League for a few reasons. But I mean, the main one that trumps everything else is that it gets you into the Champions League. A lot of the reasons he listed are true. I've been at 3 FA Cup finals and seen us win. I've watched, I don't know, probably 10 on TV. I've been at 3, probably watched another 7 on TV that I've seen us win. I was too young for the Cup Winners' Cup. I don't really remember it in whatever it was, 93, 94. So I've never really seen us win a European competition. I've seen us in 3 finals and lose them all. And the main trump point is it gets you in the Champions League. In terms of Ozil, I don't know. I really don't know. The issue remains he is the best 10 at the club. If you're going to play a 10, you have to use him. Is he doing enough at the moment? No. Is he being helped? No, but that's not an excuse. If the level Ozil you expect from him, he should be able to do things on his own almost. I think we are overcritical of him. Like the other day, you come out the game saying, everyone goes, oh, the front line's so static, but Ozil's horrendous. Well, what do you want him to do with people that aren't moving? It's causing us a problem because he is our best 10. Even off form, he's our best 10. But
where does a 10 fit in today's game, though? Is there a need for a 10?
But we're using a 10. That's the issue. If we were playing a flat 3, there's no real arguments. The problem we've got is Arteta's decided he wants to use a 10. If he's going to decide that, the answer is Mesut Ozil, and I don't you'd have people that disagree with me, and to be honest, I just think they're wrong. Like, if you are going to play a 10, it has to be him. And this is not people going, oh, you're a fanboy. No, I'm not. I wouldn't mind us playing a 3 without a 10, and if we do that, he shouldn't be in the team. But if you are going to be a 10, if you are going to play a 10, let's be honest, he is the best option. And it's not look, you can bring up assist stats and whatnot, and people can counter with chances created stats and blah blah blah. He keeps the ball, he controls the tempo of the game. A 10's job is to provide assists and whatnot, but it's not all they do. I mean, look, I think against Chelsea and United and Bournemouth away in the league, he was in all of our 3-2-1s. If not 3, he was in the 3-2-1s, and he didn't get an assist in any of them games. That's not the be all and end all. Of course, I want more of that from him. But if you are going to play a 10, it has to be him. I can't even see another option.
I've spoke about it before. I think you've mentioned it before, but the rest of the Arsenal community are catching up because we were just obviously before our time. I heard seen Arsblog talking about it the other day about Lacazette playing a 10. Do you want to recap on that?
I think it's just come from that he takes up a lot of 10 spaces. I don't know if his passing's good enough.
Wouldn't be worth a bit for me. It's worth a try because Lacazette wants to fucking drop back deep anyway. He's a useless striker, so if you're gonna fucking have him playing, then you're gonna keep him. For me, that's kind of the only position he can play. Or go.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is that a 10 is such a specialist position. Like, do you know the spaces that they take up when you just, again, this is not, I don't want this to sound like, oh, I see it at the game and I can see the whole pitch, so I know better than you. But
yeah, you're right.
Like, it's the positions that a good 10 takes up. That, like, something you see him get the ball and there's no one around him, and you just kind of think, like nothing of it. But they've had to work their bollocks off to do that. And I think it's such a specialist position that you can't really be taught to do that. Or if you can, it takes a long time. I don't think 10 is one of them positions where you can just go like, bam, you're now playing as a 10.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fine.
Now, you think of most 10s in world football, even over the last 5 or so years, they're just 10s. That's what they do. That's their job. Like, there's never anyone, I can't think of anyone that's sort of played anywhere else.
I'm just trying to think of another team that plays a 10 now.
I mean, you could argue that City rotate a few people there. I think they use one, but they rotate who's in that position within the game as well. So they might start off with De Bruyne there, but he'll drop back and say Silva will push into that position, or Bernardo will tuck in off the wing and be the 10 in that phase, and someone else will go wide, maybe De Bruyne or Mahrez, or they've got fucking 10 billion options. You could argue Maddison's a 10 for Leicester. Grealish plays 10 for Villa, maybe a bit. He's a bit
wider,
Ozil.
Yeah.
Huh?
He's a little bit wider, though, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but that's Ozil, especially since Arteta's been there, has played the same, but Grealish does it kind of from the left. Ozil's been doing it from the right.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying they're similar, but the positions they take up are quite similar.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It is. I just, like I said, I think Arteta's got a big problem with what to do with Lacazette. I just don't know.
I don't think it's a problem. Put him on the bench.
Put him on the bench. Leave him there. Yeah,
for me, it's not a problem.
I agree with you, but the amount. But then again, yeah, okay. No, I do. I just agree with you. I'm thinking of money. I'm thinking of wages.
If he was playing well, but things weren't going for us, then you could go, oh, maybe we should put him as a 10, and maybe we should try this. Yeah. The fact is, he's not playing well.
He's not playing well, exactly.
So why are we? Again, this is exactly what happened on Sunday. Arteta moved 2 or 3 players around into unnatural positions just to suit him. Again, if he's playing well, okay. When he's not, fucking put everyone where they're best.
So I'm probably overthinking a little bit and thinking, look, do you have your meant to be number one player sitting on the bench, paying his wages to sit on the bench? But at the end of the day, Arteta needs to make that decision, and why he didn't last week, I don't know. But I think moving forward, he really does need to make that decision. Poor old fucking lack of fat ass. Okay, Halls of Marble. We just touched on that. He said, we had a good transfer window and addressed areas of concern. Burnley draw was a fair result. We won't get top four unless we put a run together and beat Spurs and Chelsea and United can... Oh no, Spurs, Chelsea and United continue to be inconsistent. Inter are the favourites. Though we
Europa
beat...
League.
Oh, fucking Europa League, yeah. Oh, Inter. Well, I think Inter will win it. I think. I love to think Arsenal.
I think they'll bomb it off.
You reckon?
Oh,
Jeez,
unless
they've been playing
Juventus
well.
fall massively ahead in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they do want the league. Conte does want the league, so.
Yeah, and you think that they're going to get in the Champions League from the league anyway.
Yeah, they're there.
So if there's any form of clash, I think he'll favour the league if they're still within contention.
Yeah, they're only about 2 or 3 points shy of Juventus now. So, though we beat Conte regular at Chelsea. So okay, yeah, different team now. Top 4, they're gone for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You, Sam?
Well, sorry, in terms of the points in the table, I don't think it is. But you just look at how we're playing, and you can't see that we're going to go on a run of winning 8 or so games. I think the points tally in the normal season, you'd say, okay, we can close that gap, but we're just not playing well enough.
Sam?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we sit here every week, and every week we're like, you know what? We look at the points, and we're like, we can do that. I mean, it's any team can out of the 8 that are sitting there, but no one can. It's crazy. It's wild, but unless Arteta and the team really pull it together, I mean, I just don't see it happening.
I refuse to look at the fucking ladder this week. I was like, fuck the ladder. We're still in 10th, are we?
I ain't got a clue.
No.
I'm pretty sure we are, yeah.
Fuck the ladder. I tweeted the other day, call the season off. That coronavirus is fucking about, Get rid of the whole season. Hakon Larson, is our fitness level the worst out of the top 6? Certainly looks like it, Tony.
I don't know. Arteta said we weren't fit enough when he came in. It's interesting because under Wenger we was always seen as the fittest team in the league, and it's why we got so many late goals. The Emery's approach was to run us into the ground, basically. And that meant you look like the fittest team in the league early on because you're running more than everyone else. But at the back end of the season, as we saw, it has its effects. There was a lot of people when Emery got sacked, basically, and I think it was Athletic, or I can't remember who it was, that they done a piece that said basically Arsenal were going to struggle to improve because a lot of the players had already run their race, and it was like fucking the 5th of December or something. It wasn't even. I don't think it was December. Arteta's now having to build it up. I know he's given them 3 days off. So they're doing a training camp in Dubai starting Thursday. And apparently he said after the Burnley game, do whatever you want, be in Dubai on Thursday. And some of the players have gone to Dubai, so they're already there on holiday, and then they'll join up with the squad on Thursday. Others have gone and done their own thing. It will be very difficult if it's basically true what these papers were reporting, saying that the Arsenal stars have pretty much run their race. It's going to be very hard for Arteta to pick that back up. I think what he has done well is by making us defend better, he's probably cut the amount that they need to run. I don't look at them sort of stats. I don't know if we are still running as much as we were, but if we are, it's not essential we do it. We're not doing it because we have to. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. So I don't know. It's really hard to tell, especially a change of manager with a massive change of philosophy.
Hakon says, you'll have to answer this one, Tony, as Arteta looked like he was beyond angry on the sideline, but still had a bit clueless of what to do. Still think the starting 11 was wrong and the subs was wrong. Has Arteta found the best 11 yet?
I think the 11 was wrong. I think the subs are wrong. And
did he look angry?
I couldn't see. I was on that side, so at best I could see the side of his head.
Should have thrown a fucking rock at him. Oh, you can't.
60 yards away, my arm's not that good. In terms of has he found his best 11, look, just by the fact he's starting Lacazette every week, who's not playing well, I'm going to say no. People will disagree with that, but I don't think he has. I mean, it's just he's not doing enough. So for me, he's not in our best 11 at the moment, and Lacazette's picked it. I mean, Arteta's picked him in every game. So for me, he hasn't found his best 11. Other people will disagree, and that's okay.
Can we get a hashtag fucking Lacazette out? Go on. You reckon that'll go off? Hashtag Lacazette out.
There probably already has been one. I've seen some of the stuff I've seen is depending on what side of it you fall.
Twitter cracks me up. Hakon says it looked like Bellerin had won the lottery to play a game for Arsenal this game. I think he struggles and maybe fitness, but Ainsley is the man in the PL unless either Cedric or Bellerin really steps up. What do you guys think, Sam?
Who? Bellerin? He said Bellerin's lucky?
Bellerin, he's basically saying Bellerin's out of form. He's lacking fitness. Do you think Maitland-Niles or Cedric will step in?
I think to be fair to Bellerin, I don't think he's been that out of form. I mean, he had that great equalizer the other day when we were down to 10 men. I think his defending is not up to scratch as it was. I think Ainsley's, tackling is better for now, but he's going to have to work his way back up to where he was, and I think the best way to do that is game time. I don't think he's costing us points by any means. I think in terms of actual defending, he might be currently below both of them, but I think on offense he's probably just as solid right now. I don't know. I don't have a huge problem. What about you guys?
Well, for me, the problem we have is Cedric is, as Tony touched on earlier, he's safe. He's a safe option who's going to give you what he gives you every week in, week out. He's going to do the job. If you've got Pepe playing, for me, you need Bellerin because you're going to attack down that right side. But then if you've got Lacazette in the middle, then are you attacking down the right wing? So it's going to change depending on who we play against, I guess, and what he does with Lacazette. Lacazette's fucking a lot up at the moment for me because he's keeping Pepe out of the team, which then is because Bellerin, look, he's not the greatest of defenders, but he'll run down that sideline with the ball and create that wing, wing back chances and crosses and all that shit that you want in attack and leads to goals and whatnot. Where Cedric won't do that for you. So yeah, that's the type of where I'm at on it all. But Tony, you may have something different, mate.
Yeah, I read quite a bit of criticism about Hector after the game on Twitter and whatnot when I was coming back, and I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was good. I didn't think he was bad. I put him in a group of probably 5 or 6 players where they were just pretty neutral. So I didn't really understand the criticism when this question came in. Having said that, and I've said this on here before, I would be starting Ainsley over him at the moment from what we've seen of Hector in probably the last 2 years, and then obviously it's only judging Ainsley on the last 6 or so weeks, but for me that position would be Ainsley's. But who knows? I said that it's nothing against Hector because I don't think he was terrible.
My only problem with Maitland-Niles, and look, it's splitting straws, I suppose. It's not a big problem. Is he's the last ball, like so that last cross or the last. He can do exactly what Bellerin does, but it's the finished product. That's my only thing with him. Where I think
I just like that he gives you the option to come into midfield and overload the other team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, you can do that. Hakon says,
wait.
Yep.
Before we go, quick question to you guys. Just going on Tony's point, I mean, Ainsley I agree, he can do more, I think, overall than Bellerin can. and now we have, Cedric too. Would you be open to selling Bellerin for funds this summer if we had those two as our right back options? If Ainsley, would fully commit, I guess, to that position, which I don't know if anyone truly knows if that's even a conversation or a problem. But what do you guys think?
For me, keep Bellerin.
I would keep him unless the offer is ridiculous. As I said, I've never been a big Bellerin fan, but I don't think he's completely irreplaceable. As I said, I don't even think he's our best right back. But if you're talking about a 10, 15 million offer, then I wouldn't accept it. If someone came, I remember a few years ago, there was talks of 50, 60 million. This was sort of the year when every fullback was going for that, like Walker, Mendy. Man City spent about 180 million on fullbacks in the same window. If we're talking about them sort of prices, then I would drive him to wherever he needs to go. But
that was Barcelona though, and that was probably in his prime too, Tony.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. If the offers, if you're looking at a 15, 20 million, then I wouldn't do it. If you come with the stupid offers that were talked about a couple of years ago,
I think that was the time to sell him a few years ago. That was when we should have done it.
Yeah, but I think at that time he was so important to the way we played that it was practically impossible to sell him.
Yeah. I don't think we wouldn't get that for him these days, would really?
No, I don't think you would.
No. Fucking, but if we did, I'd agree with you. I'd drive him there myself. Hackon says, for me, Guendouzi and Granit doesn't work. Yes, I think we've said that a few times. That pairing is not good one for us. Guendouzi is busy, but doesn't really do anything. Yes, point of what I said earlier, headless fucking chook. A bit like Ceballos has done in a few games. Torreira is the man. I would play him with Granit for now. Guendouzi needs help from Arteta to find a clear role. I agree. I said I would have put him out on loan. I think he needs a good move somewhere else. Find who he is, what type of player he is, because at the moment it's got to be hard being a young bloke coming into the to a team that I don't know. Look, who are struggling, let's face it, we're 10th, 11th, whatever we are on the ladder. We've struggled all season. We've sacked the manager. Guendouzi's, let's face it, he wasn't meant to be as good as when he started, was he? Like, he was meant to be just a squad player and probably an El Neni replacement. But them first couple of games, everyone's gone, well, okay, who's this young bloke? But his form has dropped off a lot since then. That was, how long has he been with us? This is his second season?
Year and a half, yeah.
Year and a half, yeah, so. First 20 minutes, Hackon says, was good, and we created easy. After that was disgraceful on all levels, couldn't keep the ball, ran around like chickens moaning and rolled around instead of step up, give Burnley a fight and think this was embarrassing. Hackon, if we lose a game or draw a game, I like Hackon because he really wears his heart on his sleeve and he's like, fuck these cunts. That's good. Yeah, go.
So, I don't agree with him. Like, you don't go and fight Burnley. You're going to lose. That's what they do. Like, you can't go and play to someone else's game plan. I agree with him. The first 20 minutes, I thought we were good. I think the problem was we've been doing it a lot where Aubameyang tucks in and the fullback goes with him, and then you leave Saka one-on-one with their winger, but who is now their fullback because of the way we've made them move. And obviously Saka naturally being a winger and their winger naturally not being a defender, we get a lot of joy, and that's where we started like that early on. And then Saka got injured. I think he banged it. I think it's a hip injury. I think he banged his hip when he got fouled in landing, and then just never recovered. And I think a lot of our game plan went with that. Even after, I know he went off at half time, but for the last 20 minutes of the first half, he couldn't get forward. He couldn't move. I don't know why we didn't make the sub earlier. I think they were hoping he could run it off or whatever. But it's one of them things. It's so easy. And look, I've done it before, so I'm not even criticising Hackon, but it's so easy to go, get up, why are you rolling round? I can't hurt that much. But it was fucking freezing. The ground was probably rock hard. Like in Saka's situation, it was a nothing foul, but he's obviously hit his hip on the floor, and it's something that's just taking him off at half time. And apparently when he left the ground, he was limping very heavily. He couldn't walk properly. So it's easy for us to sit in there and stand. And as I said, I've done it a million times. I get up. There's nothing wrong with you. But until you're actually feeling these things, which you're never going to be, I'm always sort of hesitant to say, look, if someone's cleanly dived, you can be, get up, like, stop taking the piss. But unless, I'm always very hesitant to say to anyone, you know what I mean, get up, it can't have hurt. You can tell as well. You can always tell when someone's not hurt.
Did I read, was it in our WhatsApp group that somebody said the grass was too long or some shit?
Oh, Teta said it.
Oh, fucking hell. That had to be out of context the way somebody shared that, wasn't it?
I've not seen it, but Burnley, I don't know if they've changed it, but earlier on today, Burnley's Twitter header page was, I think it was their pitch, I don't know, it was too zoomed in, with like one strip cut to the normal level, and then the other bit left cut, and it was a lot longer. Obviously, they're taking the piss out of us, but I don't know if it was actually their pitch. And again, it's one of the things, it does sound like a ridiculous excuse, but it does slow down how the ball moves. And if I was Burnley, I would absolutely do that. I'm not criticising them. But again, it's something you should expect there. They're going to play the ball in the air, so they don't really care how quick it moves along the floor. And they're going to do everything to stop it moving along the floor quickly, because it gives them time to get back into shape. And they've not got the quickest defenders. They've got a very good defensive unit, but they're not quick. So if they can slow the ball down, they're gone.
It works for them, yeah.
And to me, it's no surprise that every single one of our chances came with the ball in the
air. Utkarsh, I think that's his name, Utkarsh. Because Burnley defended very narrowly, we were mostly attacking with crosses from the wings. Do you think our players in the box seemed very static from the crosses? Was it because we played the players out of their favourite positions? I didn't see natural dynamic runs in the box. One word there, one player's name, and that'd be Lacazette. Like, your fucking striker's not there in the fucking box, so who are you crossing it to? The cunt's still down at Cuntville fucking around. Fuck no. I don't know.
And it's not exclusively his fault, but then when we did get a chance to him, he missed it. Aubameyang missed two chances. One of them.
He did miss it too. Yeah.
One of them, I mean, I've not really watched it back, but one of them, I don't know what he was doing. You just, the way the chance comes, you just expect goal, or at least the keeper's going to have to make a good save. And he essentially P-rolled it wide. It's going to be, Burnley are very clever. They defend very narrow, and they allow you to have the ball wide and say, go on, put crosses in, and they expect that their centre-backs are going to be better in the air than your strikers, and 99 times out of 100 they are. It was really weird on Sunday because we seem to be able to get headers in. I mean, Aubameyang missed one, a flick-on header. Obviously, Lacazette missed the one at the start of the game. But that's Burnley's style. They're going to have four, not the quickest defenders. They're going to defend very narrow, not allow you much space, and let you cross the ball. That's how they're going to defend against most teams. If you've got an Andy Carroll, then they might have to change that, because then they're not favourites to win the ball in the air. But against majority of teams, they would fancy Tarkowski and me to win the majority of headers.
Pepe is more of a ball-running winger, more so than a crossing the ball. He puts very good crosses in as well, but he runs the ball a lot more. Do you think that's probably what we needed a little bit more of?
Yeah. In a word.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just getting the point on you. You'd probably say yes. So. Keys to the Kingdom, Clay. He's still running with that, is he? I want Lacquer to be a 20-goal threat with every fibre of my being. I want to make that clear. So he's making that clear. I want him to succeed with Aubameyang, but by forcing Aubameyang out wide to accommodate a struggling centre forward that offers us next to nothing is very, what's that say? Reminiscent of Emery. We have been clear. We have been much better defensively, and I credit that to Arteta. But if he can't fix the lack of scoring by the end of the season, I wouldn't mind getting another new manager at the end of the season. We have no lack of firepower. Okay, I found Gooner Goose. I found him. That's Gooner Goose. Because Gooner's Goose said Arteta out. No, I don't want to change the manager just yet. Yes, we have a problem scoring. Absolutely, we have problems scoring. Defensively, Arteta has fixed that up. I'm very crucifying Lacazette here today, aren't I? But I don't mean to be, but like, he's just so out of form. I don't know what more to say, Tony. I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, it's difficult. As I said, I'm with him. Look, I've never been Lacazette's biggest fan, but I want everyone in an Arsenal shirt to succeed. Like, I don't care if I particularly like them or particularly rate them. I want them to succeed. I'm not going there to have a point proved and go, oh, look, I told you Lacazette wasn't world class. I'd rather people be able to say to me, fucking, you're an idiot. Look, he scored 50 goals. That would bring me more pleasure than being right. But I just can't see where it's going to come from.
No, absolutely. And we're meant to have, like, you look at us on paper, we have brilliant attacking options. Like, what other team, like, and I know, you know, people will say, oh, have a look at Liverpool, Tess. But look, when you sit down and you write on paper, Pepe, Martinelli, Lacazette, Aubameyang, well, okay, let's take Martinelli out. But you look at them three and you look at every other three on paper, you'd think fucking Arsenal they got a good strike power. So,
yeah, I think that the issue we have is at the start of the season we would have expected probably 25 goals from Aubameyang, maybe a bit less, 18 to 20 from Lacazette, and probably 15 from Pepe. Aubameyang's probably on course to get what we expected if he stays fit and whatnot. Lacazette is going to be quite a bit off, and Pepe's going to be quite a bit off, and that's your issue. And then you look at our midfield, and we've got no one that scores goals. You look at our bench, and as you said at the start of the season, Martinelli was an untried kid from Sao Paulo, so you wouldn't expect goals. Eddie had one Premier League goal in a dead rubber at the end of the season. We basically put all our eggs in them three getting 60 to 70 goals. And at the moment, they're probably, I've not looked at it, probably around the 25, and we're 2/3 through the season. Yeah. So if we expected 70, they should be around the 50 mark now, 45, 50. They're 20 goals short of what we needed, and we have no one else that can get goals.
Is it? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Is it their fault though? Is it, you know? Are we looking at midfielders? Why aren't they fucking scoring?
Who knows? Look, Lacazette's not playing well. I'm not going to say that again. That's why he's not scoring.
Yep.
Aubameyang is doing probably what we expected him to do. As I said, we'd probably expect 25. He's not going to be far off that. I think he's around the sort of top 5 scorers in the league. They're quite tight, and he's in there, which is where you'd expect him to be. Pepe, who knows? He's not got the minutes. Has he struggled to adjust to the league? Who knows? But he's not got the goals that we expected. What's he got? 3 Premier League goals.
No,
As I said, we would have probably expected 10 to 15. I don't know why he hasn't got them.
Just on a flip side, quickly, both them two players, Lacazette, Pepe, both come out of the French league. Yes, we've said I think the Premier League's probably one of the toughest leagues in the world. Is the French league that far behind? Like, these players coming out of the French league aren't really performing. I'm just trying to, as I'm talking now, off the top of my head, other players that have popped in the Premier League this season or last season from the French league, how they're travelling. So, is that the problem there? Like, these French players aren't as good as what we actually thought they were.
Look, it's difficult to say, and I don't really. I agree with you that Premier League's the toughest in the world. I don't know if I necessarily say the best, but for me, I really do believe a good player is a good player. Like, you look at, say, Hazard. I know we're going back a few years, but Hazard came out of the French league as a kid that was the best player in the league, but he was a young kid, and then he's come here and he was probably, for me, the most gifted player in the Premier League for pretty much the whole time he was here. You look at us. Koscielny was a nobody. Guendouzi was a nobody. He wasn't playing in the top division. Giroud was...
Giroud?
It's Giroud. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't anything. And they've all done where... I think a good player is a good player. Look, there is adjustment periods. And is Pepe just struggling to adjust? I guess we'll find that out next season. He's also been unlucky because he may have just been started getting used to one manager, and then another one's come, and we're playing completely differently. But so that adjustment period might be extended, and I think probably next season, you'll probably by Christmas next season, you'll probably be able to say that the guy's never going to make it here, or okay. Look, for me, I think he's not doing great at the moment, but I see a hell of a lot of ability in him, and I'm not worried.
Yep.
I think if we're still saying that this time at Christmas, then there's an issue. And I think that's probably when we'll be able to have the real answers about Pepe. Lacazette, that period's been and gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's here now. We're doing it now.
Yeah, and look, we know he has ability, and if he performs to that ability every week, I don't think there's any questions. As I said, some people would give him Player of the Year for it. The issue is he isn't playing anywhere near that level, and that's where questions are going to be asked.
And then we've got that Saliba, is it, coming next year too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple more to go here. Well, MAA Gunner, he says, do you prefer Maitland-Niles or Bellerin? We touched on that. Will Martinez for Leno improve us? I feel as though he's as good off a shot stopper, but has better kicking ability. I don't know. Sam, so much Martinez?
I wouldn't. I actually thought Martinez had some mistakes in that Bournemouth game. He came out and seemed not as sure as he normally was. I don't know. I would stick with Leno. I think Leno's been very solid. I wouldn't change it. What about you guys?
I wouldn't risk the change in the Europa League's a difference for me though, Tony. Sorry to cut you off, but when we get deep into the Europa League finals and stuff, if we get there, you got to play Leno.
Oh, but we'll see what Arteta does if we get there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put money on us getting there at the moment. For me, I don't agree with MAA Gunner. What is really annoying is that probably Leno's worst aspect is Martinez's best. Leno's kicking frustrates the hell out of me, and Martinez is generally pretty good, but Leno's a much better shot stopper. You just feel more comfortable with him. I wouldn't change it, but I can kind of see where the annoyance comes from, because you see so many opportunities missed because Leno doesn't release it quick enough, or his kicking goes nowhere near where it's supposed to. Whereas you watch Emmy and he can ping a ball 70 yards just sort of effortlessly, and it is annoying. But for me, there's a few levels between them. It's not. I don't think it's close. I just think it is that one area that pisses us off about Leno. You see someone else doing so well, and you kind of go, "Oh, look, we need that," but then you forget that the rest of his game is levels below.
FPL Canada says, let's be honest, top four is a stretch, and so is winning the Europa League. Most likely success will be the FA Cup, with big teams resting to attract top talent in the summer. They will need to see Arteta has the quality and ability to succeed progressively. From here is key. Sorry. FPL Canada also says, from reports, Mari could be a great signing, and Cedric has a good chance of bumping Hector when he's fit. No complaints about this window, but the summer window is key. I would sell Aubameyang, Lacazette and Ozil. For sure, their time is up. Martinelli, Pepe with a new young number 9 is the future. Jeez, fuck. I never thought about that. No, he makes a good point, because you're actually going to get good money for Aubameyang, I would imagine. I know he's 31, 32, but Barcelona, there was reports in January. So let's say 30 mil, or am I being too kind?
You get more than that. But okay. Honestly, as much as I said earlier, I think he'll go. If the only offer was 30 mil, I think you probably let him run out his contract.
Yeah, okay. So let's say we get
replace him for that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was getting at. You're gonna have to sell both of them to replace him, because Lacazette's so far down the hill, and I don't even know what you get for Ozil.
No. Look, as I said, I think the two strikers will go. I don't think Ozil will go, because I don't think you can get any money for him.
Cavani's off contract too.
I think he's done after Atletico Madrid.
You reckon he'll go there?
It's not confirmed or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's where it'll end up.
I'm just trying to eat young strikers. Werner.
He'll go Liverpool, I reckon. Do you know what? I've never rated him.
Haven't you?
No, I remember even during the World Cup, obviously Schwinn was pretending to be German at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. And look, I don't watch a ton of German football, but I look at who's top scorers and who's doing well in the league, and he's always up there.
Yeah.
Every time I've watched him, I don't think I've ever watched him and thought, fuck me, that's a good player. But he always does it, so maybe I'm just not watching him close enough. But I think he'll probably go Liverpool. I think someone will sign Jovic in the summer.
Is Icardi getting a run in PSG?
Yeah, so I was listening to a program about European football on TalkSport the other day, and they were basically saying that he's the star, not the star man. He is the striker at the moment. The issue is I think he's not scored in 4 or 5, and they were saying the issue with Icardi is if he's not scoring, you've got nothing. And I think Cavani's kind of half working his way back into the team because even when he's not scoring, which is rare, he presses and whatnot. But obviously Cavani's not the long-term option for them, so fuck knows. But I think Icardi will stay at PSG, I'd imagine. Especially they're letting Cavani run down his contract, so they've got something there.
Yeah, they'll let him go, let him stay. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking of young strikers. You'd even, obviously there's a few out there, but I don't want a Morata or somebody.
I think Jovic will go somewhere. Then do you start after that? I think you're probably taking chances on someone. It doesn't mean they have to be trash, but someone who's maybe look. For example, I'm not saying we should sign him, but look at Inter took a chance on Lukaku. He wasn't really doing it at Man United. They didn't like him, and now you'd probably say he's one that, at the moment, as we speak, one of the most lethal strikers in Europe.
Yeah, he's
so it could
well.
be a case of we in the summer have to take a chance on someone, and as I said, that doesn't mean it has to be someone unheard of, but just someone that's not fancied at the moment for some reason.
Well,
for example,
Conte knew why he wanted Lukaku. That's the difference.
But for example, just off the top of my head, and I don't particularly rate the guy, but you'd imagine Haaland's going to start every game for Dortmund soon, or definitely next season.
Yeah.
So then maybe Paco Alcacer becomes available. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan, but he scores goals. He plays in the box. He scored goals. Ben Yedder has just basically scored goals all his career. Again, probably not the best player on earth, but has scored goals at all levels. Do you know what I mean? And they're not shit players. I'm not saying you go and sign someone no one's heard of, but you're given a chance to maybe someone that's unfancied or has done it at the level below, like you'd say a Sevilla or a sort of a Europa League team. They've done it in that level, and now you're giving them a chance to step up and prove themselves.
Yeah, and then does anything pop up, do you think, in the Premier League who's like Danny Ings or someone like that? Does somebody
again,
pop up?
that's someone will probably take it. If teams, I'm trying to think who needs strikers, because if teams need strikers, someone will take a chance on Danny Ings. The issue is how many teams need strikers this summer. Obviously, football goes in cycles. One year, everyone needs a striker, and there's big competition for them. The next year, no one needs a striker, and no one moves, or you get shit money for strikers. But if there's 2 or 3 teams, look, I'd argue Man United will probably need a striker. I imagine we'll need a striker. Chelsea will probably need a second choice striker. Tottenham maybe need a second choice striker. So if that's the case, then yeah, I can see Danny Ings going somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. What do you reckon, Sam?
I mean, you all talking about this, it seems like Lacazette would fit in perfectly with anyone looking for a person who's not doing so great. And
I don't want the cunt
could
here.
start somewhere new.
Fucking go elsewhere. Fucking go to fucking Villa.
If Aubameyang would re-sign for an amount of money that wasn't, outrageous, I would absolutely re-sign him. I don't know if that's even possible. That might not be realistic.
Just to go over my earlier point, I would 100% re-sign Aubameyang if it wasn't ridiculous. I'm not saying we should get rid of him. I just think he'll happen to go because of the circumstances.
Right. Yeah. And then back to his original question. I mean, if anyone would pay us for Ozil, I mean, I would, even if it wasn't a lot. I don't know. I feel like it's
the wages with him. It's not so much a transfer fee, but you've got to think he has to accept the move, and he's probably, unless he goes to a country with some really lax tax laws, he ain't going to get the money he gets here.
I don't believe I'm going to just about to say this because I hate fucking Lazio. Only because I'm a Roman fan as well. But I think you've got to go on Mobley. I think he's I know he's getting a little bit older now. I don't know what he is, probably 28 or something. But I think he's the bloke you've got to get if you sell Aubameyang like I said.
Yeah, see, I've never really been a fan, but obviously I didn't mention earlier, there's Luka Jovic just going to be available. Even, and this may sound like a bit of a ridiculous idea, Mertens is on a free in the summer. Just free. I know he's old, but you get him for a year, and then you see what's about in the next window where maybe not so many teams need strikers. Like, we're going to have to think outside the box if Aubameyang and Lacazette go.
Yep. Who's the bloke? Napoli. What's his name?
Mertens.
Milik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They paid a hell of a lot of money for him, though.
Yeah, he's only young though, I think.
Yeah,
anyway.
But they paid like $5 million for him, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. But there's plenty out there. But it just depends.
Yeah, but as I said, I think that all of them, anyone you've listed, will be seen as sort of taking a chance. It's not your Aubameyang, who he came in, you knew he was going to score goals.
Yeah, that's right. But
I think anyone that we get will be like Danny Ings had a great season, but can he do it at a top level? He failed at Liverpool, blah blah blah. I think that's the type of person we're going to have to play. Alcacer is been dropped to Dortmund's second choice. Ben Yedder is at Sevilla, so he's not done it in the Premier League, the toughest league in the world for a team that's trying to get in the top four, blah blah blah. I think anyone we look at, especially as Arsenal, is going to be like Rodrigo from Valencia, done very well at Valencia again, will be taking a chance. I mean, I think he'll go to Barcelona, but it's another example of that. As I've said, I think we're just going to have to take a chance. We're not the team that are going to go out there and go, we're going to go and get this top-class centre-forward and they're going to be our striker for 10, 15 years.
Well, I reckon Edu's the type of, he's obviously doing a lot of the windows and the transfers and targets and different things now. By the looks of it, he's looking at young Brazilian, the next big thing. I think that's...
Yeah, I mean, the issue with Brazil is that they're massively struggling for number nines. They have done... It's weird because they had a generation where they had loads, and then recently they've...
Martinelli, have we ever heard of Martinelli, though, before? That's what I mean.
No, but I'm saying Brazil as a country. Like, Brazil as a country don't have a number... I'm not saying we've heard of, but look at their national team, and they're starting Jesus, who... for me isn't fantastic, and again he's at City, so it's out of the question. Or their Firmino maybe starts, but he's not a traditional number 9, and again he's at Liverpool. You look, Brazil in the last 5 or 6 years, basically since Neymar's been there, have really struggled for an actual number 9. So if there's no one that they can see good enough for the national team, and you remember Edu worked for the national team.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be, I don't think there'll be, unless you take a chance on the 16, 17-year-old, but whoever comes in is going to have to play every week. So it's not like Martinelli, where if he wouldn't have played between the start of the season and January, no one would have said anything. He was 17, 18. But whoever comes in, if Aubameyang and Lacazette do go, has to be day one, you are starting.
Yeah, you're the man. Yeah. No, it's going to be very interesting times. It's going to be interesting to see. And it's also going to be interesting to see, like, what... I didn't expect the Pepe signing last window, and not many of us did, and we, last summer, and what do we end up spending over 100 million in the window or something? So that type of shocked everyone. So it'd be interesting to see what they actually give Arteta, and does he have to sell a few of these players to make up some money? So it's all going to be very interesting. I think it was a couple of questions. I'm just looking.
On the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I think there was some there. Sue, I don't even know how to say that cunt's name. Are we giving Arteta more credit than he deserves? Yes, performances have improved and some players have played better, but overall results haven't dramatically improved. And although the early signs are good and he hasn't been properly backed, the revolution predicted by some Arsenal fans hasn't quite happened yet.
I think predicting a revolution was unrealistic. As he said, the performance has improved. We look better, given it the eye test, just what you can see, we look better. Some players have improved, performances have improved. Look, eventually it's a results business, but none of us said we want results. Well, of course we want results from day one. None of us expected results from day one. So I'm now not going to go, we're not getting results, Arteta's a fraud.
It's just been one of them seasons. It really has been. Like our expectations at the start of the season, you're seeing players like Pepe come in. You've got Lacazette, you've got Aubameyang. Going back to what we discussed earlier, how many goals these players have scored. Like this whole season has just blown my mind. It's just like, holy fuck. Like I never seen this coming. I never predicted that, we'd be 10th on the ladder. I just... What do you say? I don't know. It's a season from hell. It really is, and I don't think none of us predicted it. I don't even think Arsenal predicted it. Like, I never thought Emery was going to get the sack mid-season. Didn't think Arteta was going to be there, as you said, in January. I fucking know. Just, yeah. Funny old game, isn't it? Rumour has it, I'll have to go back to Tony again because he may know something here. Rumour has it Arteta blocked the move away from Ozil, as there wasn't sufficient time to sign a replacement. What could be the reasoning behind allowing Ozil to remain? Ozil moving on could have freed up the wage bill as well as allow one of our promising youngsters starting berth for some valuable experience.
I don't believe the going story. It was produced by one source, like one paper, I think, that not even a paper, one website that has a questionable reputation at best. I can't remember who it was, that's why I'm not naming them, but I remember seeing it and thinking, oh yeah, everyone's going to believe you when no one else is reporting it. He also he obviously sees him as our best number 10. He is our best number 10. And look, freeing up the wage bill when you can't get a replacement in isn't worth it, right? Because that money's just going nowhere. It's all well and good if you've got that earmark for another player, but as you said, it was too late to replace him, if you believe the story, which I don't. But if you believe the story, it was too late to replace him, so then you're just going to have this wage doing nothing, and I'd imagine that we'd have to subsidise his wage if he went anyway.
Yeah, probably, yeah. No,
so,
yeah.
We've had this conversation before. Is he overpaid? Yes. But if you're going to pay him money, you might as well pay him money and have him rather than have him pay him money and not have him.
And playing against you,
also,
or playing somewhere else.
Huh?
Or playing against you or somewhere else, I agree. Like, why pay a bloke $350 to play against you?
Yeah, and also as well, I mean, we'd already loaned out Smith Rowe by obviously a lot earlier in the window. So you're just taking away our options. Some people think Arteta doesn't fancy Ceballos, others just think he hasn't had the chance to really use him yet. But you take away Ozil and you leave, as things stand at the moment, if you believe he doesn't fancy Ceballos, as Joe Willock as our only option. Anyone who's advocating this, do they not realise how ridiculous that sounds? Joe Willock is not one of the options, the only option. As I say that, does that not worry you if that was the case?
Absolutely. But something's going on with Ceballos. And I know you said you don't think there's much between Arteta and Ceballos. I'm not saying there's a blue going on, I think. I don't think Arteta's he doesn't come across the bloke to be, trying to piss off players and upset players. But what I mean is something's going on. Whether it's Arteta's, he's saying Ceballos isn't in form or fitness, or I don't know. Something's not right for me. It's just, it's weird. Like, why loan a player? And I know it wasn't his choice, but now he's stuck with a player who we're paying wages, but you're not going to play him. It just, don't know. It just seems odd to me. Seems odd. How much would Willock be on?
I'm not sure when he last signed the contract, so probably around 30, but I don't know when he last signed the contract.
Fuck all compared to what we're paying Tobias, I'd imagine.
Probably about half, maybe a little bit. I'd imagine Tobias is on about 60 or 70. Again, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, I just thought, I don't know, look, I could be reading too much into it, but it just seemed weird to me. Very weird.
Yeah, look, I mean, with Tobias, it's a difficult one. He's been out injured for a long time. He's come back and not really had a chance to establish himself. I think it didn't help that one game he wasn't on the bench, and they've said, it's not an injury, he's just not selected. But then, was he fit enough to be on the bench? And then we've seen it against Bournemouth. He's come on for 20 minutes. That's the only time he's had.
Well, he was on the bench again, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean you're ready to come. Again, people go on about how Burnley bullied us, and then they say, why didn't Ceballos play? Give me a break.
Did you see him warming up on the sideline at all in that game?
Yeah, he warmed up.
Yeah, okay. No, that's weird. Okay, I think that's about it, boys. You got anything to add, Sam? You good?
I'm just glad that we have a break right now. I think this is the most needed break we've had in a while. I can't think of another one. I'm normally not happy for international break. I dread it, but I'm actually very glad that we're having one right now.
How long's the break for? 2 weeks or something? I don't know. Look.
So I'm a big fan of the system because they're moaning that our players are too tired because we don't get a winter break. Half the teams are off this week and the other half are off next week. So we don't play on Saturday because we're on our break, but there is still 5 Premier League games. Mm-hmm. And then the week after there'll only be 5, but obviously we're included in that 5.
Okay. What am I doing? Yeah, okay, cool. I'll be fucking back sometime because I'm just a bored, miserable cunt. I might do some Patreon shows. You can get involved with that. Subscribe to us on Patreon. Tony, I'm going to have to check, mate. We're very, very close to giving away a jersey, I think.
Oh, fuck knows. I've not looked at it since we donated it to you and you spent it on beer or something.
Yeah, no, I'm not allowed to drink no more, mate. Fuck, it's shit. I'm not even allowed to have a beer. How sad's that? What my life has become. But I'm still alive, so I've been told. How good's that? Anyway, yeah, I'm actually going to Sydney this weekend. So if you want to catch me for a beer, I might have a light beer. I'll have a light beer. I'll do that. So yeah, I'm going to watch the derby this weekend. Sydney FC v the Wanderers, and I know that means fuck all to Arsenal fans. But if you're in Sydney at that game, yeah, shoot me a bloody DM or something, or Snapchat or some shit, and I'll fucking might catch you for a beer or something. That's about it, boys. I'll be back for some Patreon stuff in the next couple of days. I think Darren is going to come on to Guna to Guna. I think Addy was also going to do the same. I'll see what Sam's up to, or Liam or somebody. We'll do a couple of Guna to Gunas, and we might catch up next week, Tony, for something, if we think of something, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely because obviously we're not playing. But who knows, if you need me, Mr. Reliable, and I'm like the Nacho Monreal of the podcast world.
Okay, that's us. Thank you, good night, goodbye, and thank you for listening to the Clock End Talk.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?